Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
And welcome into the program. This is your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Resource for that common sense approach to planning that we are all in need of in this complicated financial world, breaking things down, making them easier to understand. He is Ron Corser, president and founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners. And Ron, we always appreciate the time and the guidance that you can provide us as a certified financial planner, helping to provide some clarity in our planning efforts.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I hope you're having a pleasant morning already. We're going to have, I think, a really good show today. Not that I think others aren't really good, but I kind of like the way we're going to lay this out. We've spent a lot of time over the past weeks and months talking about retirement goals. How do you plan for retirement? What's the most important thing? And we know that sometimes I meet people who are just winging it, hoping that everything works out. Other times people have they have kind of a plan, it's that basic, if I just take 4% out of my life savings, I'll be okay. And then other people that we meet come in and say, you know what, I need to get a firm handle on it. Can you help us? And that's where we can really be helpful to people. Planning for retirement, there's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes I think we spend so much time on it that people get scared, and I don't want them to. My job as an advisor and my partner, Nolan, our job as our company is just to uncover all the things that are covered, to make everything known as possible so that there's no, oh my goodness, we didn't think about this, or oh boy, that's a terrible thing, or why didn't you ask about this, or why didn't we plan for it? So it's a little more in depth and complicated, if you will. I don't like that word too much. But it's more all encompassing. There's more to retirement planning than just saying, you know what, Friday's my last day of work. I've saved $500,000. I'm gonna be all right. Have a nice day. So we're gonna talk about, the theme is 6 core issues that you use for planning in retirement. And we're gonna go through them in a lot of detail, which I think is important. Some of it, those of you who are regular listeners, you're gonna say, oh man, there goes Corser again talking about the same thing. Well, if I repeat myself, it probably is a pretty good indicator that it's important. And that's why we keep going over it. They tell me that repetitious is one of the best ways to learn things. They say experience is the best teacher. And my response used to be, yeah, I agree with that. But in the last 20 years or so in this business, my response is bad experiences probably teach us more than good experiences. And I want to minimize the bad experience. So you can still learn a lot. So we're going to talk about 6 core issues. I think you'll find it interesting. Those of you who are driving to church, I bless you. Have a nice afternoon. You can tune into our blog. You can tune into this because it'll be on our website. It's Cornerstone Retirement Partners, www.Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Just get on our website and you can hear today's program when it's finally posted. And you can also have access to previous shows. So when you heard something, maybe you're going to church and you didn't hear all of it again, you can just kind of get on there and tune in and see what we were talking about in previous times. Or if you want to, you can just email us and you can say that on the website too. I have a question, Ron. You mentioned this in the program. Here's the question, that kind of thing. Or you can give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. And just say, I want to talk to Corser, I want to talk to Nolan, I got a question, I want to set up an appointment. Anything you want to do, any way we can help you, we're here to help. So give us a call or get on the website to do this.
616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. They are here to help and assist at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Online, it's cornerstone-rp.com. Cornerstone-rp.com is the website where you can find lots of additional resources. You can find tools, calculators, reports, previous editions of the podcast available there. You can go back and listen to the archives on almost any financial topic that you have had cross your mind or you have heard about. There is probably an episode of Your Course to Retirement geared specifically toward that topic or that addresses that topic. So pick up the phone, give a call, go online, request some of those reports, watch, listen to, review old editions of the podcast. Lots of ways to get in touch, but the true value of the program is to get your plan in place. Ron, Nolan, the team at Cornerstone Retirement Partners will design for you a specifically crafted individual course to retirement plan, which will cover the 6 core issues that we will talk about in today's program. And if you'd like to get that put in place, again, the number 616-301-2581, the easiest way to be in touch, 616-301-2581. One goal that we talk about specifically a lot, Ron, is the fact that our savings has to generate for us an income in retirement. And many savers and investors have a plan to save and invest. Some just wing it, but we're more confident and more successful, at least more successful more often when we do have a plan. But most people, and you've said this on the program that you've talked to, while they have those savings plans, still don't have a specific plan for generating income in retirement. They may have this collection of tools and accounts, but it's not a true plan for income generation. And really, this is the culmination of what the first part of the plan was all about. Saving and investing was for the purpose of generating an income at some point in time, but we don't have any plan for that. And that seems to be a big reason why we have less confidence about retirement success than we do about our working career success.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, and I agree with that. One of the things that I think everybody needs to ask themselves is, how much do I know about my advisor? You know, that may seem kind of strange. A lot of people put us advisors in the same kind of box. We're all the same, and there's no differences. And I'm not sure that's exactly accurate, but I'm just going on by what people have told me. Some of the key questions anybody can ask their advisor is, tell me what your philosophy is. What's your investment philosophy? What's your economic philosophy? Tell me what you think. And so I'll just briefly recap. I'm going to go into the tall weeds just for a moment, so forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. There's 2 basic economic theories that we as a country go and sometimes argue about. One is Keynesian Economics. That's what we're currently going. It's based on a simple assumption that the governments can print money and just keep it going, and we don't have to worry about nothing. Maybe it's a little more in depth than that. But there's another school of economics called the Austrian school. And the guy named Mises was the one doing that. I happen to come down on the side of the Austrian school, which basically posits that, look, there's 300 million people in our country. If you think as a certified psychopathic bureaucrat in the Federal Reserve, you think you can manage and manipulate 300 million people to control our behavior when it comes to spending, saving, all the economic issues? Wow, I think you're really off base. So I think it's pretty hard for central planning to work over a long period of time. Unfortunately, we're all stuck with this Keynesian thing. So what we try to do is help our clients understand that it's not about trusting the government, if you will. I'm not against the government. Please don't misunderstand me. But it's not about trusting the markets. I hear that sometime. I trust the markets. It's about trusting a really hardcore plan that's created by somebody who understands that the current economic philosophy is just creating a little more debt, a little more inflation, a little more uncertainty. So philosophically, that's where we come down. It's a much more conservative philosophy. But I think it's one that it probably, if more economists taught us that in college, we'd be better off. But it is what it is. So philosophically, that's where we fall down on. When it comes to income, we talk about this a lot. We really do. It's probably one of the things, in addition to just our philosophy, that maybe separates us just a little bit from the herd. philosophically, and when we do the real work, we look at the income plan as the all-inclusive basic thing that you need to develop and you need to put together. And it has to be clear, it has to be simple, it has to be effective, but it has to do two things. It must provide you all the income you need every month, every year, coming in on a permanent basis with as much protection as possible, no matter what happens in the market. And the second part is it must give you enough money so that you can maintain your current lifestyle. Nobody wants to go backwards when they retire. They don't want to go from living in a 4-bedroom house to camping out in the back seat of their car, unless you live in California, and I guess that happens out there sometimes. But anyhow, we're not in California. So those are the two parts that kind of lead us and say, how do we create an income plan for people that does those two things? It gives them everything they need every month coming into their checkbook to pay their bills. And as much of that money is guaranteed or protected and permanent as we possibly can do. So that includes talking about a lot of things. How much money are you spending right now? Most people don't like to hear this word. It's a 6-letter word, not a 4-letter word. I think sometimes it's treated like a 4-letter word. It's called a budget. Ooh, people hate that word sometimes. My wife, Nancy, is a great budget person. I'm so blessed to be married to her in so many ways. I married up, actually, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who know me, I married up. But she does all the budgeting. I mean, she does the spreadsheets, and I'm really grateful to her for that. But you have to have an idea how much money you're really spending. And it's not enough to say, well, we can cut back when we retire, because what that tells me is that whatever you're spending, you really need to keep spending to maintain your lifestyle. The key is, how do you maintain your lifestyle? So the first part to that is, how much am I spending? How much do I, food, groceries, electric, housing, whether you paid for your house and it's all paid off or not, you still have housing expenses. So you have to take a hard look at those kinds of things. Then the second thing you take a look at is, let's talk about Social Security. One of the things that we do, I think that maybe sets us aside and apart a little bit, is we really do Social Security analysis for our clients coming in. It's an incredibly important part of the whole program, right? If you don't know the best way to take out the most money out of your Social Security plan, somebody's not helping you.
Yeah.
There's always 4 or 5 different options you have. It's just what's the most important and what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Some people in our industry say, you know what, take it, you have to wait until you're 70. Other people say, you know what, you better take it when you're 62 because it's going to go away. I'm not sure either of those are great pieces of advice. Here's
Ron,
why.
When the conversation with an advisor is all about rate of return of your investments, but they don't talk about how to use Social Security strategically and the claiming methods and strategies that are available to protect those assets so that they can continue to grow, it feels like you're missing half of the story there.
You are, and you're leaving what I call money on the floor. It's like being in a casino. You knocked over your chips and you didn't bother to go in there and pick them back up. You just figured, oh, well. So we do a Social Security analysis to figure out why. Now, here's a key. Here's how do you determine when you should take Social Security. Number one, how healthy are you? If you've got some health problems, I always go back to some folks I met way back in the day, in 1998. He had 2 small heart attacks and his wife was not healthy. They decided to retire early and they took Social Security at age 62. Why? They didn't think they were going to live to be 90. So taking money early sometimes because of health issues is key. Other times to take it early, you may simply not have a big enough life savings account. You need that extra income. Why should you wait? Because you've got enough money from other places coming in to maintain your lifestyle, that budget thing that we talked about, where you don't have to take it right now, you can wait. Another issue when taking Social Security is, what about spousal income? This is one of the things that kind of separates us a little bit, I think, from other firms. We always talk about, if one of you passes away, what happens? You lose a Social Security benefit. Maybe you also had a pension, and the option you chose gives a reduction to the surviving spouse of the pension. So survivorship income is an important part of planning the whole income plan. And that's what we focus on a lot. The next thing we do is we ask people, what do you think the market's going to do? I love to ask that question because people don't know. Even the people who are supposedly on TV don't really know. They have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow morning when the market opens up. So here's what I'm saying to you. We're just starting to talk about some of the things, some of the questions we'll ask, some of the topics we'll touch on. And if this is starting to ring a bell with you, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, put in your name, number, we'll get back to you. Say you want to talk, you have a question, we'll help you just with a couple of things that we've talked about. Another income issue is if you have blessed a pension, what's the best option to take? Again, there's not always one rule or one rule of thumb or whatever that says this is the only option you should take. Again, it depends on what you need for income, health issues, and all of that stuff. Then we talk about formulating a spending plan. That's kind of based on that budget thing where we know. But here's a couple other things that we talk about. Longevity. What in the world is longevity? That sounds like a communicable disease, but it really isn't. You know, we may live a long time. We may live potentially as long in retirement as we were working. We don't know that. You know, I think about all the medical science. There are people that probably, 50 or 70 years ago would not be living now, but because of medical science, they're alive and well and enjoying retirement. So it's always a good idea to plan for a longer retirement than a shorter one. Because if you make a mistake on the shorter time horizon, you could be in serious trouble and have to pull back things. So those are some of the things we talk about. We talk about risk too. When we think about it, when we talk about investments, that's number 3. Well, let's think about this. Because I just did a webinar on that. We put it on YouTube and Facebook. What's the biggest risk? Other than longevity risk, what's the biggest risk when it comes to you're getting ready to retire and you're 2, 3, 4 years away from retirement and you've just recently retired? It's something called sequence risk. We've talked a lot about that. What is that? That's a risk of losing money. I'm not talking about a 50% loss, like a 2008 experience. That's a risk of losing money, maybe 10, 15%, normal market correction kind of thing, 3, 4 years before or right after your retirement. If you're taking money out of your retirement life savings, sequence risk is a real risk. And it's one of those things that we don't know when it's coming. And I'll give you a great example. And I think it's a wonderful example. One of the owners of our building that we're in, he does some great missionary work. With his buddies, they go to Africa 2 times a year and they build fresh water wells and things and bring equipment because it's a really big need in Africa. He told a story about 10 years ago. He got bit in the leg, right around the ankle by a bug. Now, who can imagine you go to Africa and get bit by a bug? But he got bit by a bug and nothing happened. Then about 3 years ago, he got up one morning and his ankle was red and it was hurting. And his wife said, "Oh, you probably go see a doctor." Well, he's a guy, right? We don't go see a doctor just to go see a doctor. So he said, "I'm going to be fine." So the second morning he got up, it swelled up more. It's really starting to burn and ache. His wife says, "You really need to go see a doctor." He said, "I'm going to be okay." The third morning he got up, he couldn't stand on it. He said it was puffed up like a basketball. He went to the emergency room. They finally worked on him all day long. They put a lot of antibiotics in him and they got ahead of this thing. And the doctor told him, if you'd have waited one more day, you'd have lost your leg. Why do I use that as an example of sequence risk? He got bit by a bug 10 years ago and nothing happened. Then all of a sudden, 8 years later, it rears its ugly head. That's what sequence risk is like. Something happens today in your portfolio where you take a loss, but it's okay. We've managed through it. The market always comes back, all of that stuff. But when we look back 8 years from now, we say, wow, that loss I took way back then because I'm drawing money off of my life savings. If you're not drawing money out of your life savings, just forget I ever talked about sequence of returns risk. But for most of us who have to draw money out and need income, sequence risk is a real creature. So all of a sudden something that happened in the past now really has an impact on your life now. That's sequence risk. You don't know when it's coming. You don't know if you're in it, but you can plan for it. It's kind of one of those strange things. And we do that kind of planning here at our firm. We always say, you know what? We don't want to be surprised by anything. So if some of this sounds like it makes sense to you, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, Cornerstone Retirement Partners, and put your name in there, and we'll get back to you, and we'll help you any way we can.
Cornerstone-rp.com is that website, cornerstone-rp.com. Ron, when you have talked about income allocation versus asset allocation, one model being about creating the income that we need in retirement, the other model being about the growth and the investments and the rate of return that we are experiencing during our working career when we have a paycheck, those have sort of been very separate things and a very separate, different dynamic approach that your clients take to those different needs that we have. With sequence of returns in particular, it sounds like this is the specific risk that happens when we don't separate those two things and when we instead merge them and have the investments trying to do the job of income creation.
Yeah, that's a great point. They are really two different things, although a lot of times we just say, oh, it's all the same. Sometimes I'll ask folks when we meet them for the first time, I'll say, tell me about your retirement plan. Well, I have a 401k. I have an IRA. That's not a retirement plan. That's just a way that you're saving for the future. A retirement plan is a plan that gives you the income you need when you need it, all of that you need, so you can maintain your lifestyle. So what we call an investment plan, income allocation, maybe we could say another word, another way to look at income allocation would be, we're going to create a written income plan for you that'll have all the income that you need. And we'll figure out in this, as we create this plan, where we should, so to speak, create buckets of money for you. And this really is a key concept if you think about it. And the sooner you can do it, the better. Most of the time, people save in one place. That seems to be the majority. I got a 401k or an IRA. It makes great sense, particularly for those of you who have 5 to 10 years to retire, to talk to somebody. Talk to us about creating different buckets of money, tax-deferred bucket, a tax-free bucket, in a what we call a taxable bucket, and any other bank kind of money that we want to talk about. The more buckets you have of money, the greater flexibility you'll have in creating an income plan for you that works, that gives you the income you need when you need it, but also gives it to you in a way where it's protected, guaranteed as much as possible, and permanent. That's the whole key. And that's also part of when we come to saying, well, if you just want to use your investments, that's not really an income plan. That's just an investment strategy. So there's a difference, and we try to bring that difference out. Income plan is a key thing. It's income allocation, meaning how do you allocate all of your life savings in the different buckets and different places you have them. If you haven't done any of that, if you only have one account, it doesn't mean it's too late. We can still start to separate out money. We can go from tax deferred, meaning it's going to be taxed forever, right? No matter how long you live, it's going to be taxed. We can create tax-free buckets for you of income using Roth conversion strategies. So nobody has ever, number one, gone too late without planning. Number two, too late to have a certain kind of investment strategy, income strategy. You're never too late. Think about it. If you're 65 right now, God may let you live another 30 years. So what's the difference if you're planning at 65 to get to 95, or you're planning at 35 to get to 65? Yeah, some of the risk things are different, but it's still a long-term plan that has to work for you.
One of the reasons why Ron Corser and the team from Cornerstone Retirement Partners offer this complimentary review is that so many that they have talked to throughout the years have not taken the steps to create that plan to last and give confidence throughout retirement that address some of these specific risks. And that's why we talk each and every week here with Ron Corser, or one of the team members from Cornerstone Retirement Partners, about some of the things that they have seen in their years of experience, but also give the offer to you, listening to this program, viewing this podcast, to get a plan put together or to do a planning review to help complete that plan with the help and assistance of a certified financial planner and a team of qualified, experienced professionals. And if you'd like to take advantage of that opportunity, pick up the phone and give a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. And Ron, when you are going through this review from a high level, there are major topics that you do cover. We've talked about a few of those so far. Each one of those major topics has many subtopics and questions and issues and categories, but the income and the investments, certainly one of the main areas that you help people review. Are there any other major areas that you would say are talked about in almost every plan review or plan construction?
Yeah, there is. And it's how much risk do you have? I ask this question a lot to folks when we meet them and we just start our process. I'll ask them, I say, tell me about your investment plan, and they'll answer. And I say, basically, when you were talking about your advisor, whoever put this plan together, what did he tell you about the risk involved in the plan? And a lot of times we'll get the answer, well, we're diversified. We have a little bit of everything. We spread it out so it's not too risky. And I ask the question, what does not too risky mean? Does it mean you lose 5% in the next market correction or 55%? One of the things that I think is really important, and advisors should do this, and good ones do, and we're in that category, is we can actually document what kind of risk there is in somebody's investment strategy, whether it's the 401k plan at work or if they have an IRA with a 401k. Part of what we do is to analyze where somebody is right now. Why would we do that? Well, let's find out how much risk you have right now, because you can actually quantify it. You can quantify how much market risk you have in your portfolio, how much risk in bonds, if you own bonds that's in there. You can actually quantify them. And we do that with somebody because I want to know, are you comfortable with this amount of risk? And I say, let me put that question to you in a little different way. If the market corrects and you lose 10% of your life savings, are you okay with that? Some people say, yeah, because I think the market will come back. Okay, if you lose 20% of your life savings, are you okay with that? Oh no, I don't want that. So we start to say, yeah, we can do the arithmetic to show you how much risk you really have. But then there's also that, what I call that soft spot, how much you really mentally willing to risk. Because there's enough studies out there that say, the potential loss is twice as hurtful as a potential gain. What does that mean? And you, me, we're all the same. Human beings are the same. We hate losing money. And the pain of loss is much worse than the joy of having a gain. So we take in that consideration, because whatever plan we put together for investment strategy, whatever plan that is, it has to line up as best as possible with who you are as an investor and a risk taker. Now, there's risk to everything, right? If you keep all of your money in a 3-pound coffee can and bury it in the backyard, what's the risk? Well, you go back 5 years from now, you dig it out of the dirt, and your money in that is still there, but your purchasing power is gone a little bit down because of inflation. But the real risk is that you'll develop some sort of dementia issue and forget where you buried it. And it's a total loss. So you can't escape risk. The question is, what kind and how much, and will somebody like us help you understand it? And we do. We help you understand the kind of risk you're taking on, so that we create a plan that tries to minimize those risks as much as possible, to make sure that whatever happens doesn't impact you as much as possible. I talk about in my own experiences, and one as an advisor, what shaped us. I went through the 2000-2002 market correction. That was actually a market destruction. And I remember watching a guy on TV at the beginning of March. The NASDAQ had gone to 5,000. It had never been that high. And he was saying it's going to 6,000 in the next 3 months. And I remember thinking, that's a 20% increase in 3 months. That's a lot. Well, what happened? is that's when the dot-com boom went boom and bust. And over the next year and a half, and then we had 9/11 thrown in there. Man, that was painful. The market went down one time 55%. And then we went through 2008. So those kinds of experiences, they haven't clouded my judgment. All they've done is just say, you know what? You could get bit in the ankle by that bug in Africa and not know it's going to hurt you until way down the road. Well, I've been through some of those bug bites with clients and with new clients. And so we try to make sure that, okay, this happened, this may happen. Let's plan for it and plan against it, so to speak. And I think that's important.
Well, once again, if you have questions or concerns, you would like to construct that plan, you'd like to identify some of the risks you may be exposed to, pick up the phone, give a call, get your course to retirement plan constructed or your current plan reviewed to spot check and make sure it is complete. Ron Corser and the team there from Cornerstone Retirement Partners, happy to do that with you. Similar plans can easily go upwards of $1,000 to several thousands of dollars, but Ron Corser is a certified financial planner willing to donate his time, make it available to you with no cost, no obligation. As long as you are serious about your planning, your financial future, willing to invest a little of your time, he will help put that plan together with you. 616-301-2581. That's 616-301-2581. Quick break. We'll be back with more with Ron Corser on Your Course to Retirement in just a moment.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow. Visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
And we're back here on Your Course to Retirement. Certified Financial Planner, CFP, Ron Corser here as your guide, ladies and gentlemen, providing the financial information to help navigate, to uncomplicate this complex financial world, break it down into simple, easy to understand language so that you can make well thought through and informed financial decisions. With a certified financial planner's help, he also offers to help you construct that plan. He is that CFP resource for you. Grand Rapids area savers and investors, I encourage you to get that plan put together or to review your current plan, make sure it is complete. Ron Corser can help you with that process as a CFP, providing that information, that guidance, helping you construct that plan. 616-301-2581 is the number to call, 616-301-2581. Ron, before the break, we were talking about some of the high-level major topics that are addressed in every planning conversation. And during the break, we talked about and mentioned the fact that taxes is another topic that almost every plan is going to address. In fact, every plan is probably going to address taxes specifically, or at least have some tax implications that need to be discussed.
Yeah, it's true. Taxes is a really, it's one of those things nobody wants to talk about, but you have to. There's been enough studies done, enough work from outside institutions that say, you know, if you have $1 million IRA and you retire at age 65 and live another 25 years, it's quite possible that taxes alone will reduce that $1 million IRA by about 30% or more. So what that simply means is your $1 million IRA right now, or your $500,000 IRA, is only worth about $700,000 or $350,000 because taxes are going to come and get it. And the current administration in Washington has been threatening to raise taxes. But I tell people, governments generally always raise taxes over the long run, and taxes are going to go up. We asked the question a lot, what do you think taxes are going to be 5 or 10 years from now for you? The same, lower, or higher? And most people say they're probably going to be higher. And what I say to them is I agree with that. It's just my opinion. But we know two things about taxes for sure. We know that if nothing happens, January 1, 2025, the tax bill that we now have goes away and the tax rules go back to where they were in 2017, which automatically means the 10% bracket becomes 15, the 12 becomes 18 or 19. The brackets are going to automatically go up, which is going to automatically increase what you pay in tax. So when a politician says, you know, if you make less than $400,000, we won't be taxing you, that's not exactly accurate. And not trying to be too critical, but from an arithmetic point of view, that's not accurate at all. It simply isn't going to happen. So what do we deal with? How do we deal with taxes? How do we deal with them if we have 5 or 10 years before retirement or in retirement, and we know that our IRA and tax deferred money is going to be slapped around pretty good? Well, here's a couple things we can do, and we do it a lot. We're not CPAs, all right? But if somebody doesn't have a tax person, we can introduce them to a tax person. But what we can do is we've got the intelligence and the software to be able to do some tax analysis for people using tax returns from the last couple of years. If we assume that everything is going to be about the same this year as it was last year, we can do some great tax analysis that'll say, look, if you say take some money now and instead of making it all tax deferred, put it into a Roth account, which is an account that's never going to be taxed. This is what's going to happen to your tax return this year. Or if you just want to convert some Roth money, this is what's going to happen. Or if you want to take some of that money and put it into, say, a special life insurance contract that provides healthcare coverage along with potential tax-free income, we can help you do those kinds of analysis so you can actually see in black and white how much money you can take out of the going to be taxed forever account, the 401k, the IRA, and put it into accounts that are going to create tax-free money down the road and some other benefits. So we can show you that. There's always a cost to do that, but it's really important. Even if we think our taxes are going to be just going up a little bit, the question becomes, well, how much more do you want to pay in tax? So the tax world we're living in right now is as low as it's ever going to be. If you're going to pay tax on something forever, doesn't it make sense to maybe take some of that out of that tax forever bucket and put it in a place where it can generate tax-free income? There's also a need to create, I tell people, money in accounts that are taxable, but not too taxable, like a brokerage account or a savings account. You get a 1099 on that where dividends, interest, capital gains are taxed, but a lot of it isn't taxed. So you can use a lot of those different buckets to create an effective tax strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, if any of this makes sense to you, if you're curious about any of it, please give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, cornerstoneretirementpartners.com. Put your name in there, your question, or you want to set up a time to talk or visit. We'll do that. We'll do it either by phone, by Zoom, or in person, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever makes sense to you. Again, 616-301-2581.
Ron, it sounds like having a diversity of different dollars with different tax statuses could be a inherent advantage to us, could be something that works in our favor in controlling our tax situation in retirement. Is that something that you encourage your clients to think about and to plan strategically for as they are saving toward retirement and making those kind of decisions?
Through using, so to speak, buckets in tax planning. When tax planning is something somebody really wants to zero in on, it's what we do, and we can show you that if you have a tax deferred or tax always bucket, tax free bucket, tax sometimes a little bit bucket, you really have the ability to manage your taxes going forward. Because the other part of this whole tax situation is Social Security benefits are going to get taxed quite often. And you have to plan for that. Somebody says, well, I'm going to get a $2,000 a month Social Security benefit. Yeah, you are, but that could be potentially part of it taxed. The other part deals with healthcare, and that's number 5 on our list here is healthcare. We know, for example, when you get to be 65, you get to become what I jokingly call, become a ward of the state. You get into the Social Security program and you get into the Medicare program. It's not that bad. It really isn't. I'm there and it's been okay. But the Medicare healthcare costs money. Part A is supposedly free. Nothing's really free. Part B, you have to pay for. And guess what? When you get into Medicare and you're taking Social Security, that cost of Part B is taken right out of your Social Security benefit. So all of a sudden you get a reduction in income from Social Security because it's going to pay for healthcare. One of the things our firm does, and we've talked about it a lot, my wife Nancy has a whole team, that does the healthcare part of the planning for our clients. This makes, I think, our company kind of really unique in that, yes, we can plan for retirement. You know, retirement is about income, right? It's about an investment strategy. But don't forget, it's about healthcare also and about taxes. So we can help. My wife does an incredibly good job. This is shameful promotion of my wife, but I know she can back me up and she can prove it. So it's okay. I can do this. But she does a marvelous job with our clients, helping them go through the maze called Medicare. There's a lot of folks who get on the internet and it still doesn't make a lot of sense. And I joke with them and say, that's because the Medicare website was designed by a 30-something who doesn't think he's ever going to get it. And he just did some cool stuff there that he likes that makes no sense for us folks who are a little older. So we can incorporate the healthcare part. If you have retired or you're done working before Medicare eligibility, my wife can handle those kinds of healthcare issues too, to find a great healthcare insurance coverage for you. So she calls it the healthcare, and Nolan and I do the wealth care. She can also do the long-term care planning, which I think everybody needs to at least plan for. And when I talk about long-term care, ladies and gentlemen, don't turn the radio off and go screaming into the darkness. Long-term care, the longer we work, the longer we play, the longer we live, custodial care is going to become a bigger and bigger issue. So what I tell people is before you go and try to figure out how you're going to pay for it, because you're either going to pay for it all on your own or some of it. Here's the things I always encourage people to do. It's called the 3 W's. Ask your significant other these questions. When I need care, not if, but when I need care, where am I going to get it? That's the first W. Who, when I need care, who will give me the care? Some people say, well, my daughter's a nurse and she said she'd help me. Seriously, she's going to quit her job and wait on you and help you, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? So the first W is when I need care. The second W is who's going to give it. The third W, and this is critical, where do I want to get the care? Most of us want to get that care in home, but it's part of what we do is the planning process. We can very clearly, my wife can show you the different options that are available to you. A lot of us, we always think of the long-term care issue as, okay, I'm going to go into a nursing home. It's going to be one flew over the cuckoo's nest. They're going to hose me down once a week on Saturday, whether I need it or not, and it's going to be ugly. What about if you're getting cared for in your home? That's where I want to be cared for. And that's where my wife wants to be cared for. So a lot of the planning is planning that shouldn't go, oh my goodness, I don't want to deal with it. It's what's available. There's a lot of cool things now the government's come up with, like the PACE program and things that are available to us in the state of Michigan and other places that can help us stay in our home to get the care we need if we qualify for long-term care. And remember, to qualify, you just can't do 2 of at least 6 activities of daily living. Transference, feeding yourself, medication, bathing, continence issues, bladder and bowel issues. If 2 of those don't work, you qualify for long-term care. So I tell people, you could be in an automobile accident when you're 55 and qualify for Social Security disability or long-term care. So it always makes great sense to touch on the subject, to think about what ifs. If it's something that you want to pursue in terms of passing off some of that risk to an insurance company, we can help you that too. But part of a good plan for retirement says, what if I need custodial care? What are the options? So the healthcare part makes us a little unique, I think, in the industry, because not only do we do the investment part for income, the Social Security part, which is part of the income thing, but we also put a lot of work into how do we get the best healthcare coverage for you, both current and long-term care if you need it. So that's something, if you're interested, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call. We can hook you up with my wife and her team. She's got a great team that can help you with all of these things. Give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can help you, or go to our website, put your information in there, and we will contact you and get back to you just as our little feet, as fast as they'll carry us.
Ron, this is one of those topics, as important as it is, I think all too often is ignored. Maybe because we have the Superman syndrome and the invincibility that it'll never happen to us. Maybe because it's just so unattractive to think about it happening to us. Maybe it's because even if we did take the time to address it, a lot of us feel like we can't afford it. But that's why it's so important to include in our financial conversations, because if we don't address it, it can be financially catastrophic. Whereas if we do address it, it can be something that we can provide a lot of additional protection against. And I know that specifically at Cornerstone Retirement Partners, that's why you have formed and structured your firm the way that you have, with Nancy on one side and you and Nolan on the other, really looking at the health and the wealth planning for your clients, making sure that those are cohesive, that the healthcare side does not derail the financial side.
Yeah, it really is important. They have to work together. And the other thing is you have to have the conversation, the what if conversation. It can be a bit uncomfortable, but it's so important to have, as opposed to saying, oh my goodness, you know, Sarah's husband, Charlie, just had a stroke. He's totally shut down. They don't know what I got to do. They're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to take all the money. He's going into Medicaid. Oh, it's terrible. The way to change that is to have a conversation with us about that. Now, we're not Medicaid qualified company. We're not one of those, but we're smart enough to know the questions and things you should consider. And we're smart enough to know who we could maybe introduce you to in terms of law firms who can help you do some of that planning. It really is important. It is absolutely important to be able to do. You can plan for this long-term care thing, or you can hope it doesn't happen. Keep in mind, half the people in this country are going to need some sort of custodial care. And that's what the long-term care issue is, Medicaid. You know, yeah, it's maybe 3 months or 3 years. But here's the other issue that's really important, is that, you know, about 40% of all the long-term care money is spent on people under 65. Isn't it an incredible statistic? That means there's a lot of stuff that can happen to us. So if this is important to you, if you want to know how to plan for this, if you want to have a conversation, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can help you with the questions that you should be asking and help you with the answers to those questions. So call us, please, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, Cornerstone Retirement Partners, plug in your information, and we will get to you and we will help you.
Ron, I was going to mention that the Department of Health and Human Services statistics on long-term care actually says that almost 70% of us, 69.8% of the population, will need some type of care or assistance before we pass away. So if we don't address it, it's almost like that Clint Eastwood question. Are you feeling lucky, punk? I mean, it's something that if we are not taking the time to address this thing, we are really leaving that up to chance, because 7 in 10 of us, and we don't know if we're one of those lucky 3 or not.
Yeah, we can help. There's, you can pawn off some of that to an insurance company. There's some estate kind of interesting approaches to take that you can use to protect your money. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat, as they say. And you really should avail yourself to all of them, ladies and gentlemen. The more you know, the better decisions you're going to be able to make for yourself and your family. So that leads us to the last one here in the few minutes that we have left. It's called the legacy. When it comes to legacy planning, here's how I try to explain it to people. Every one of us is going to leave a legacy when we die, when we pass away. And the most immediate legacy we're going to leave is, how did we deal with transferring our stuff, our assets, to our beneficiaries? And we're going to leave a response that's going to be one or the other. The first response I hear a lot is, man, mom and dad had a mess. It's taken us 9 months to clear this up. We're still not done with it yet. I can't believe they just left the mess, but they never told us anything. The other one I hear at times, and those who work with us, is, man, mom and dad had it all together. This was really easy. It takes a little time to do the paperwork and all of that, but everything worked out just well. They did a great job. So what am I saying? part of the legacy is way beyond your stuff. It's what kind of memories did you leave? What kind of memories did you leave? You know, we can say it, did you spend time with your kids and grandkids? Did you make memories? It can be something simple from, you know, with this summer, over 4th of July, my daughter came up and her husband with my 3 grandchildren. We went swimming, and then we had a balloon fight and a water gun fight. It's kind of an annual thing with us, and the kids look forward to it. And we got blasted with water balls and squirt guns, and they laughed and everything. But they talk about it now. It's one of those simple things. I didn't take them to Disneyland. We just did something simple like that. So those are the things that count, in addition to creating your estate, positioning it in such a way that when you die, and it happens to everybody, whatever's left in your estate passes to the next generation or generations the exact way you wanted it to, in the simplest fashion. It makes sense to do that. We're not estate planning attorneys, but we're smart enough to know what questions to ask, so that when you don't have an answer to some of those questions, we can say, well, maybe here's somebody you can go talk to about getting this done. Everybody needs an estate plan, and everybody has an estate plan. On one side, the estate plan is, I'm going to just leave it to the estate, and the kids can argue about it or go through it, and the government can take a bunch of it too. The other estate plan we leave is that one that says, we've given this a lot of thought. This is how I want it to happen. This is how I want it to go. Do we have the right documents in place to make it happen? So if this is important to you, and I hope it is, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We can help you get the estate issue kind of lined up in the right way. We can help you with the healthcare parts of your life savings and with your retirement plan. We can help you with investment strategies that make sense for you. There's more than one way to approach this. We can create an exquisitely manufactured, created income plan that documents every penny that comes into your checking account every month. And the other thing we can do is we can simply help you put together the overall plan to make sure that it works. And the other part that we do is we follow up with you periodically. Everybody who becomes a client automatically gets 2 face-to-face reviews. We put them right in our CRM system. You're already scheduled, and we send you notes, time to come in for a review. We will call you if things are not running the way they should. We'll call you if things are going great. You're not left in the lurch, so to speak. So that's part of this whole plan thing, is that you have to be in a position. The best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. That's what the bard said. And that happens. So there's a need to make sure that periodically the plan is reviewed. The underlying assumptions are reviewed and lined up with, does it still make sense for you? Does it still make sense with what's going on around us? I'm always reminded about what Mike Tyson always says about a plan. And he said, yeah, everybody has a plan until I punch him in the face. Yeah. And you know, that's what happened to us in 2008. That's what happened to us in 2000, 2002. That's what happened to us in March of 2020 when everything was shut down because of COVID. That was a punch in the face. It really was. So if all of this makes some sense, if some of it makes some sense and you're curious, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, and we will be in touch with you and help you with whatever we can help you with. That's our promise to you. You can go to our website, Cornerstone Retirement Partners, plug in your information. We will get back to you just as fast as our little feet will carry us, and we will make contact with you. We'll find out how we can help you, and we'll do our very best to be a help to you. That's our promise to you. So give us a call, 616-301-2581.
They are there as your resource, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to hearing from you, helping and assisting in any way that they can. You get a plan put together or complete your current plan, review it, spot check it, make sure that it's providing lasting financial confidence throughout retirement. That's what the Course to Retirement plan and the plan review is really all about. Pick up the phone, give a call, 616-301-2581. That is 616-301-2581. Ron, we always appreciate the time, the guidance, the insight that you provide here on your Course to Retirement.
Well, this has been fun. I love talking about these things because I hope it comes out that I'm somewhat passionate about doing these things. And so is Nolan and my wife, Nancy. So thank all of you for tuning in today's program. I hope you have a great Sunday and a blessed week. Take care.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.